your mat so that in a few seconds we'll start.
Oh, here, I can get my phone.
Okay.
You're starting embodying wisdom from the Bhagavad Gita in everyday life with Richard and Mary Freeman, Mary Taylor and Richard Freeman. They're like really fun into yoga for several years. They are co-authors of The Art of Vinyasa and Where Love Comes to Light, bringing wisdom from Bhagavad Gita into modern life. They have been like studying yoga and philosophy for several years. Mary is author of 6 books, and Richard has been like an amazing Ashtanga yoga teacher and travels all over the world just teaching and lecturing about yoga and asanas and philosophy. Both together, they do like really, really nice workshops. I've been to it, and they're like really inspiring. Both are amazing, and they're really fun. Not only into yoga, it's like a way of living. So this workshop is really inspiring. I hope you all enjoy it as much as we do. Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see all of you.
It's so lovely to be here, and we're really honored to be part of this festival and to bring a little corner of our perspective into things for any of you who happen to be here. This morning, it's morning in Colorado, afternoon elsewhere in Europe, I think, but our class today will focus on looking at the idea of complementary opposites, both in movement and in everyday life and in our emotional lives, our mental lives, our interpersonal lives. And that idea of complementary opposites is something that is really experienced as we practice asana in a contemplative, internal manner. So the first half of the class will work a little bit on that with some very, very simple postures. And then we'll carry that theme into looking a little bit at some of the themes from the Bhagavad Gita in a very short period of time in the second half of the class. So please enjoy the class if you can, and we hope that it will be of use to you.
So we're going to initially look at 2 patterns, which are actually one thing, but we always experience or think about it as 2, and that is inhaling and exhaling. And prana is a big term, but it also is a specific term in this context that refers to the pattern that lives in your heart that makes you inhale. So it's a rising and spreading way out from the present out through everything, time and space and creation. And then it has its beloved, which is its complementary opposite, called apana. And apana is the pattern in the body and outside the body, through the whole body, of exhaling, in which all that expanded out and became infinite time and space and creations dissolves back into the present moment. Wow. And so our mission in yoga is to take these 2 and to introduce them to each other. Fortunately, they already know each other, and if we can get them to fall in love with each other, then when you exhale very deeply, the opposite, its beloved, is very happy. Sometimes if prana and apana are not in yoga, when you exhale, the heart closes. And then when you inhale, you lose your grounding, you lose the apana. So all we're doing is getting prana and apana to both wake up simultaneously and to totally love and support each other at every phase of this. So it's pretty simple.
So we'll begin by coming to standing and dropping into what would be called the plumb line of the body. So you find the sense of the feet dropping into the earth. And from there, the feeling of the muscles of the legs drawing up as the core of the body expands on an inhale. And then on the exhale, again, allowing the heart to stay bright as the feet stay grounded. And then we'll take this pattern into moving on the wave of the breath.
So feet together, but if you feel at all unstable, feet apart works beautifully. Okay, so here's our first little practice. So remember, every time we inhale, we're going to be keeping the best of the exhale. Every time we exhale, we're going to keep the best of the inhale. So inhaling, we keep the heels heavy and we open, 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 and we spread the lower back like the wings of the kidneys. We spin those wings. And then the head completely behind the arms. We look at the hands. And then we come up, and from under the belly, it's like throwing up. So we're lengthening through the crown of the head and the tip of the tail simultaneously.
And if you need to, bend the knees.
Oh yeah, you can. And then at the very end, you curl in. And then lift the head to what we call Trini, which is number 3. And this is a full yoga pose. Spine is quite straight, but your tail is still strong. And then exhaling, project through the crown of the head and the tip of the tail. Coil in, then lift the head. And then inhale, reach back, but spread the wings of the kidneys wide. The heart is wide, the collarbone's wide. And then you reach up like swimming. And then you go, ah. So the tongue merges with the palate. And you grow taller through the crown of the head. Let's do that a couple more times. So inhale to number 1. Keep the head like a transcendent puncher, totally behind. Come up and over. And then we coil under the belly. And inhale, lift the head to Trini. And then lengthen, lengthen, release the palate, lengthen through crown, coil tip of tail, lift the head. Then inhale, really feel the strength of the legs. Spin the shoulder blades wide, like swimming. Reach up and up the middle path. Go. Ooh. One more time. Inhale, broaden, spin the shoulder blades wide. Up, over. Coil, 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 and the breath. And inhale. Pubic bone and coccyx reach towards each other. Oh, lengthen through the crown, lengthen through the tip of tail and coils. Lift the head. Then inhale. Spread the wings of the kidneys. Reach up and up the middle path, and the breath continues.
And so this is the sun salutation, obviously, and we'll break it down a little bit. So we'll take a big inhale here. Legs are strong, back is broad, spinning the arms, reaching way up, the tail stays heavy. And then reach to the ceiling a little bit. And as you fold forward with the back nice and straight, knees can bend, remember. Curl at the end of the exhale. And then inhaling, the head lifts. Then place the hands on the mat, step back, and lower yourself down onto your belly, climbing up onto the elbows with the elbows approximately under the shoulders and the legs nice and strong back behind you. And we're pulling with the arms. So there's a feeling as though we're trying to pull ourselves forward. But because the legs are strong and are reaching into the mat, we pull back through the legs and forward with the arms. So the spine begins to be stretched in two directions simultaneously. So again, this sense of complementary opposite patterns gives length and strength, not only to the spine itself, but to the core of the body. Inhaling, we pull a little with the arms. The heart is invited through the gate of the arms. And exhaling, just release and let it go. One more time, inhaling, we pull the heart forward. It should feel good. And then exhale, lower part way down. Take the hands back to where the elbows were. And then shrug the shoulders, dropping the shoulders down slightly as you inhale, leaving legs and pubic bone on the mat. Again, we're pulling with the arms. The heart is coming through the gate of the arms, but the legs stay strong. There should be no discomfort in the low back. If there is, just lower down a little or come back onto the elbows. Inhaling, we pull just a little more. Shoulders drop down the back, and maybe the head tilts back just a little. And then exhale, we lower back down. Try one of those two forms again, or you can come all the way into upward dog. So exhaling, the legs are strong. Hands next to heart or stay on the elbows. And then inhaling, use the breath to begin rolling up almost like a snake. And you can even inch yourself forward, shrugging the shoulders down away from the ears, riding the wave of the breath. The head tilts back, gaze down the nose. And then, we come onto the knees.
For the downward dog. We could switch spots if you like. So here we are, we inhale. When you inhale, be sure to keep heart and kidneys completely wide open. And then very slowly, we imagine that the sitting bones are being lifted perhaps by angels. And they lift just enough, and you ground the heels of the hands, but with fingers open. And there we are. This is the beginning. If you're really stiff, this might be it. And then gradually the angels lift the sitting bones a little bit, and then they start to draw them back, and the arms get longer. So we spread the shoulder blades, we roll back the collarbones, and then you place down the roots of the index and middle fingers and spread the collarbones, leaving the knees bent. Perhaps other angels come and one pulls the pubic bone back and up, but another pulls the coccyx back and down. And slowly, slowly, the groins get deeper, the lips are smooth, and the eyes find an easy gazing point, and then it's up to the breath. And so the posture originates in the cave of the sacrum. Good. And then let's come back down to the knees. And we'll do it one more time. Downward dog. So before we go, we set the strength of the shoulders. This is serratus anterior, and we're very strong. And then after you inhale, we gradually, the angels lift the sitting bones and draw them back. They pull back also pubic bone and coccyx. And the point in between, the middle of pelvic floor, slides up the central channel and hits you in the uvula. And you go, oh, ha, ha. And very, very slow. There's absolutely no end to this. So there's absolutely no hurry. The knees bent. And if it's comfortable, you spread the toes, ground roots of big toes, and the legs gradually become part of the posture. So it's like a sailboat, but keep the collarbones wide. And it's also interesting, there's a swaying back and forth, side to side, which is also an experiment just to inform you of the wave patterns, front to back, side to side, up to down. Good. And then from the downward dog, at the end of the exhale, you can curl down the tip of the tail, lift the heels, and bring the head back so you can look at the front of the mat. And here you can walk forward. And at the end of the exhale, you set the feet, and then inhaling, you lift the head to number 7. Exhaling, lengthen through crown and tail, coil, lift the head, and then inhaling, spin and spread the wings of kidneys. And then, we grow taller.
So that's the movement and the wave pattern and the interfacing of complementary opposites in the sun salutation. Let's do just one together, just to get that in a fluid form so you're not thinking too much. You're dropping into the embodied feeling of this. So you find your footing. Remember, exhaling, we drop down. Inhaling, the breath draws awareness into the core of the heart, the core of the body, but the tail stays heavy. And then inhaling again, we draw the arms up, spinning the arms, keeping the back broad and the heart open. And then come up and over, exhaling, scooping under the belly, bending knees if needed. At the end of the exhale, curling the head down. Inhaling, ride the breath, come part way up. The back is long, coccyx still heavy. Place the hands on the mat and step back, exhaling. And then bend the knees or just in a plank-like position, lower down. Either come onto elbows or hands and come into Sphinx pose on elbows or Cobra pose on hands, or even the upward dog. Doesn't matter which one of those you do. You want to follow a round of the breath, keeping the back broad, legs strong. Flip the toes under. And as you exhale, lift the sitting bones back up to the sky. dropping the head down through the arms, if that feels comfortable, and breathing. And you can even make a sound with the breath. So the breath almost sounds like a mantra. Soften the tongue, soften the jaw, move on the wave of the breath, as if the breath is keeping you alive, which turns out it is. And you join together this grounding pattern of the exhale with the expansive, creative pattern of the inhale. One more good long round of the breath, exhaling, inhaling. And then at the end of the next exhale, lift the heels and the head looking at the front of the mat. Bend the knees slightly, and then step or hop forward. Inhale, just as the feet get there, and lift the head and the heart. Keep the heart open, but the tail heavy. And then exhale, fold deeply. But again, here, the heart stays bright, joining together complementary patterns in the body. With strong legs, inhale, head lifts, the heart follows. Spin the arms as you reach up to the sky, hands in front of the head. And then exhale, sink into the plumb line. Soft jaw, soft gaze, steady the eyes.
Let's do, a wonderful posture, Setu Bandha Savangasana,
Okay.
which basically means a bridge shoulder stand. Okay, shall we can, yeah.
Okay. So we just come to seated. And again, as you sit down, notice, exhaling as I sit down allows me to stay in this more internal form.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then we'll lie down on our backs.
So again, exhaling, lie down.
Okay. And then separate the feet so that the heels are at the outer edges of the hips. Okay. And then there's a movement that we're going to start with, which belongs to the Apana family. And this is the Apana is often compared to a naga or a serpent. And so imagine your coccyx is actually the tail of a naga, infinitely long and loving to coil. So movement number one is after you inhale, big inhale, remember that's the heart, you smile, keeping the smile. Exhale, simply imagine you're pulling the tail of the serpent up between the knees and using that muscular pattern of the gluteus maximus. That's as far as you can go. And so we're pulling the corners of the pelvic floor that way. And then after a big breath in this, that's as high as one can go. Exhale, roll your spine down as if you're going to get all of the lumbar vertebrae on the floor. But then just before the sacrum, pause. And then as you drop the sacrum, you go, you get to inhale. It's like, so nice. And that's my favorite part of the posture is not doing it. So that's what I love about yoga is not doing it.
So we'll try that movement one more time.
One more time.
And this time, when you're coming into the pelvis being lifted off the mat, we do not want you to just come up nice and high. We want you to take the knees forward and just only use don't use the quadricep muscles to come up. So a way to do that is to hold the ankles. And then as you inhale, feel the heart bright.
Assuming you have long arms. So
yes.
Yeah.
And then as you exhale, because you're holding on to your ankles, you can only come so high.
Yeah.
And then again, we come back down.
Okay. So here we go again. One more time. So you inhale, smile. That's palate and tongue merging. Keeping heart open. Exhaling. Someone takes Nagatail and pulls this way, and the knees are coming over the toes. And with that muscular pattern, that's as high as you can go. Then, after an inhale, here we go. We're going to go down again. So imagine you're rolling, put the lower thoracic, lumbar on the floor. So it's very much the Apana pattern. Oh, and then when you finally drop the sacrum, the kidneys and heart, they equally fill with the brightness of the breath. So nice. Okay. Shall we go all the way up? Okay. So to complete the posture, but we start the same way. You inhale, smile. Exhale. Phase one is strong apana. In that space underneath the sacrum, you can either interlace the fingers or hold the ankles, whichever you, and then keeping this pattern, you add to it. You ground the elbows, and then the quadriceps say, me too. And so remember, it's pubic bone and coccyx love to do things together. And so we walk or roll the shoulders back, but leave the chin noble so you keep a curve under the back of the neck. And the heart is like a pilgrim on way to Mount Chin. Feet parallel. Imagine you're gently squeezing a block between the inner knees. And generally in a posture, we start with drishti. You smile with the eyes at whatever the gazing pattern is. And you, breath by breath, the dialogues, front to back, side to side, up to down, past to future, are all taking place. And then a big, big breath in, smile, and then in a long exhale, or even 2 or 3 or 4 exhales, spread the shoulder blades and see if you can roll the spine flat onto the floor. So this is the same ending that we've done before. Get even the lumbar down. Oh, what an exhale. And then fingers on the, oh. Smooth lips, empty palate.
And this aspect of the practice is the residue, the part between movements, the part between thoughts, sensations, that really remains uncategorized, unnamed. And it's where the real assimilation and the real joining together of these opposite patterns is embedded in the body. So take a moment, drop into the residue.
The amrita of the shesha, or the nectar of the residue. And it's completely uncategorizable, although we will try to categorize it as best we can. It always slips out of whatever word you have. Good. Shall we move on?
Sure.
Oh, here's an excellent posture that will wake up what we call the pelvic nostril, which technically are the lines of the iliopsoas muscles up into the wings of the kidneys. So you put the heels so they're just slightly wider than the outer edges of the hips. And then we're going to rotate the toes out slightly. And then we've turned our legs into windshield wipers. And this is a way of feeling what we call the pelvic nostrils of the psoas muscles. And you can actually feel them as the ida and the pingala in your nose also. And so this is the simple movement. And then, so let's all go to the right side. So we'll tilt the knees. Oh, that's the left. Oh, excuse me, that's the right side. Yeah. Left and right are. And so as we come over, we dig in the inner edge of the left foot. And then imagine someone is pulling the left knee very strongly. Roll the left shoulder back to the floor, but then start to lift the hand. And that will keep the 12th rib back towards the floor. Good. And then really, 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 and then when you inhale, we'll just roll back up. And notice, does that open or close one side of the nose? And then see where the other side is. So we take the right knee in, and then we roll the right shoulder back. So it's like this with the arm. And we imagine someone gently pulling the right arm and someone else gently pulling the right knee. And this will cause a release and a lengthening, but a stimulation of the psoas line through the body. Good. Reach, reach, reach. Reach. And then, Again, my favorite part of yoga is not doing it. When you stop, you go, praise the Lord. One more?
Sure.
Okay, we'll do one more. So, we take the knees over to the right side. We dig in either the root of the right big toe or the inner heel, just to the ground. And then we reach up with the left arm, excuse me, and then roll the left shoulder back towards the floor and imagine that you're lengthened. And as you inhale, reach, 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 as if to infinity in both directions. Reach, inhale, and then as you exhale, and then we'll bring the knees back up. Notice if that had any effect on the flow in your nose. You can tell when you inhale, the side that's the coldest has the most flow. And then once more to this side.
Exhale over, push the inner edge of the right foot down into the mat and imagine the right femur getting really long as you stretch through the right arm, dropping the shoulder back towards the mat, really stretching on the wave of the breath.
And then inhale, inhale, inhale. And see if you can touch infinity. It's pretty far. See if you can touch infinity. And then you get smart and you go, ha ha ha, infinity's everywhere. And you roll back.
And then for just a few rounds of the breath, let the knees drop together and place the hands on the low belly. And keep the head neutral. The tongue is soft, the palate is released. And notice, there's that pattern of breath once more. The inhale, and then a natural gap, not holding it. But then the wave pattern turns around and the breath flows out and the exhaling pattern. And then at the very bottom of the exhale, once more, there's a natural gap. Nothing fancy. So just take 3 or 4 or 5 rounds of the breath. Let it be very simple. The inhale and the natural gap. The exhale again. That background of the breath that really is the natural intelligence in the body. Joining together the prana, the apana, keeping us grounded and awake at the same time. That background that is there whenever we notice whatever is happening. There's the breath, waking us up, keeping us right here, right now.
Shall we roll up?
Sure. So if you're on your back, you can roll to the side and then on an inhale, push on the floor, push yourself up to a seated position and drop in again. We wanted to spend a little time. That was just an introduction of these complementary opposites in an embodied way. And we'd like to spend a little time theorizing, talking about how those patterns are part of life and part of what is taught in so many of the texts, like the Bhagavad Gita and like many others that are these traditional Indian texts that have so much wisdom in them. So we're going to move a little closer to the camera, and so we can see more clearly. And we invite you to get comfortable. It's like you. So for just a few moments, we've only got about 20 minutes left in this short class, but we wanted to just touch on the theme of complementary opposites that is also talked about in the Bhagavad Gita. We've been studying the book now for a long time and just wrote a book about it, looking at how it impacts our ability to deal with crises and
Our actual
daily
lives
lives. Yeah. And so we assume that most of you have read the Gita or have at least have heard of it. And we encourage you to really study it, read it again and again and again, and take it as a book with so many different aspects of wisdom in it. You can dive in at any point and really start to get some information that can help you in just navigating the world. And an overview in 2 minutes or less is that it's the story of Arjuna, who is a warrior, has been trained as a warrior. He's also a prince, and he is part of one family that is an extended family, and his crazy uncle, Duryodhana has taken over the kingdom. And so the story begins with Arjuna turning up on the battlefield between his side of the family and Duryodhana's, the bad guy's side of the family, because they're going to fight for the kingdom. And Arjuna is there with his charioteer and dear friend, who happens to be Krishna. And they show up on the battlefield ready to charge into battle. And suddenly, as Arjuna gets there and starts to feel this intensity of the situation, he is overcome with conflict. Like so many of us are overcome with conflict when we are faced with crises in life. And so he turns to his dear friend Krishna and experiments with him on what do you do? Learns from his friend and teacher Krishna, what do I do when I don't know what to do? when a situation is difficult.
Mhm. Yeah. So, and we're just going to look at little pieces because we find any little piece you look at contains everything. And the first word of the Gita is dharma. Dharma kshetre, kurukshetre. So the field of dharma, and dharma is the first word I want to look at because it has many levels of meaning, but the most common meaning just means duty. What is, according to the structure of your relationships with other people and your work, what should you do? And this is a very kind of daily thing. But Dharma always is a system of thought, of values that, where we've created different experiences. And so the Dharma, in an ordinary sense, is what should I do in this situation? And so the initial teaching that Krishna says is, go ahead and just do your duty. Okay. And of course, that question's going to come because if you don't, everybody's going to laugh at you and, you're going to disappoint all these people. And in many circumstances, that is the correct thing to do, particularly, if you're working somewhere and you don't show up because of questions, then it's an inconvenience. But of course, what we start to learn is that Arjuna, being a politician and a prince, he has a deeper dharma than simply being a warrior in this situation, because he's also a diplomat. And he's also in the Mahabharata, this very amazing text that the Gita is part of. He's already been involved in all kinds of negotiations. And so then the question is, swadharma, what's your true dharma? What's your true duty in this case? And this is where, of course, the ethical or dilemmas that occasionally we find ourselves in, where if I'm doing what's expected of me, but if I look at the broader picture, it's actually going against my deeper commitments, my deeper obligations. And so this is where Arjuna says, wait a minute, if I do that, then look at the results of that. That's even worse. And what's the good if I win a kingdom, if all of my friends and all of the people I would want to enjoy the kingdom with are killed? And so that's a good question. And Arjuna is brilliant in that he asks brilliant questions, and his close friend gives him partial answers, and sometimes the answers are extremely true, but also extremely irritating because he doesn't actually answer the question as to what you should do. But he wants Arjuna to keep inquiring and to find out. And it turns out through the entire text, he actually never tells him what to do, except do yoga, which turns out is and turns out the big part of doing yoga is asking questions, is doing an action. And then with your action, you get feedback. And so then you get knowledge, and then you're able to take the best of two possibly not good alternatives, but you don't know until you act. But then the action, if you're not attached to some mental concept where you're really ignoring everything, then you get more information from it. And so a beautiful thing in the Gita is that dharmas are any kind of mental formulation, sometimes not very good, sometimes brilliant, and sometimes sacred, in the sense that, there's the eternal dharma, the Sanatan dharma, there's the Buddha dharma, and these are all profound teachings. But if you go into them, what they're all wanting you eventually to do is to see the Dharma pattern or the structural pattern that the mind creates, and then let it go. And so,
and the letting go is not just sort of seeing it and then tossing it out the window. It's setting it down and offering it with great generosity and with the intention of learning more, of continuing to deepen the process that is unfolding before you. And so there's this amazing process between one's dharma, one's duty in life, and the context of that dharma, and then the actions that one takes. And again, this is a reflection of this little tiny asana practice that we did, where it is patterns that complement each other, that inform each other, that if you have your dharma alone and don't take action, or take action without being tapped into what has meaning and purpose and truth in your life, then the richness and the actual beauty and the benefit of the actions that you might be taking will never be as profound. Mm-hmm. And so the teaching really, as Richard said, it starts on this field of dharma and action.
Cool. Yeah,
and
action.
And when you look at actions, and this is the karmic chain of events, what you recognize, and in the modern world, we talk about, the butterfly effect, where a butterfly flaps its wings here in Colorado, where we are, and in some period of time later, those of you in Europe start feeling something from that. Who knows? But indeed, that, as we go deeper and deeper into our purpose, our beliefs, our ethical underpinnings, our moral ground, and we take actions, we begin to notice that everything that we do, even those things we think, have impact. And so there is this real yearning as we go more deeply and, like Arjuna, start asking questions. Mm-hmm. There is this strong yearning to have our actions really reflect the belief systems that we have, that are those of interconnectedness and those of communicating well and being truthful and honest.
Mm-hmm. And the practice then, when you have this good, some of the systems are brilliant, but if you, then the practice is to place them and to let go of them so that you can actually see the patterning. It doesn't mean you reject it. So when you place down the dharmas, you're not rejecting them, because what you're doing is upgrading them. And so the whole potential of this continuous upgrades of, better expressions. And so even in the Gita, the idea that all of our ideas about who Krishna is theistically, he's this way out there, or this causes this causes that, this causes this. Some of them are pretty good causal chains, but you have to also see that, is that really what's happening? And by what we say, you place it on the kunda, or the altar, related to the word kundalini, by the way. You place it on the altar of just awareness, and the ecstasy, if that's the right word, or the clear light of just is the release of the Dharma. And so many times throughout the Gita, Krishna is coming down off of the pedestals, both positive and negative, that Arjuna habitually and constantly places Krishna on. Oh, you are like the big guy, or you're very scary, or you are time itself. And all, in many cases, he's quite right. But then, and Krishna constantly is saying, he comes off the pedestal and he just says, hey, let's experience this thing together, which would be bhakti or love. And quite brilliant.
Yeah.
And this takes us then into the idea of the word karma, which is, and everyone says, oh, well, my karma is this, and it does explain like your situation, like the species that your current body might belong to, or, where you are in physical space. And we often look at it, bad luck or good luck or something, but it actually just means action. And so what happens is that through practice and through the teachings, and one takes karma into like not these long-term, terrible situations, but it's like ultimately thought by thought, because even a thought leaves an impression. And if you're really there with it, looking, almost with a kind of fascination or curiosity, and then you start to see, oh, that has a background. It leaves maybe a small impression, but you start to see that karma is then a creative principle rather than a principle of bad luck or good luck or whatever. And so it really flips the meaning of the word. So karma becomes an art in the Gita, the art of yoga, the art of karma, in which all of a sudden even no matter how crazy the situation is, which is probably beyond conception or beyond the dharmic patterns, that there's this beautiful creative function that you have, moment by moment, breath by breath, sensation by sensation, which that you then have. And so karma becomes the creative principle and you can create anything you want. And what is it that, we really want together?
And so when we run into difficulties in our own lives or emotional upheavals or thought projections, then a very, very simple thing to do is to really ground through the physical body and feel present, and then remind oneself of what one's dharma is, meaning what one has as a purpose in life, and how that fits within the context of the situation, and therefore what the appropriate action that might really fill out the picture so that the dharma and the action work in synchronicity with each other, which is why we have based this morning on complementary opposites, so that we pause long enough to really see what our motives are, our intentions are, and what possible actions can be there that are not only of benefit for ourselves, but that really truly benefit others, that work this idea of interconnectedness and essentially are embodying love.
Yeah. And you won't know for sure. But if you make an action without attachment to the fruit, as they say, meaning you're doing it really, and then you listen for feedback, then you can modify, you go, oh, pardon me, and then you fix the action. But if you're too attached to some conceptual fruit, then you won't listen to feedback. You won't listen to others. You won't communicate. And then there's no bhakti at all that's going to be developing.
So the bottom line is to look again, to stay as present as you can, and then look again.
Okay.
And to be nice to yourself, to be nice to others, to really trust in the power of communicating and relying on others and being reliable enough for others to depend on you. And summarizing the Gita in 20 minutes is a ridiculous task, but we've tried to just give you a seed of one angle that you might look at.
Thank you very much for both of you.
Thank you.
Nice way of approaching. It's like knowledge is never ending.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like kind of approach to start diving into Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
We have a lot of knowledge to dive into and through it. And you're just putting a seed if we haven't started yet, so that you are more interested now to go and develop a little bit more of knowledge. So thank you very much for being here with us and encourage us to start knowledge again and perhaps grab the books again, because they're like awesome.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
We are all having a meditation and they were just telling us about being present, and it's like acknowledging that you can be in the present moment and just enjoy every breath, every step, everything that you're staring at, and even that you're alive. That is life, and is a way of just diving into it. It's not only by asanas or knowledge, it's also by meditation that we can connect. So now we have a meditation with Swamiji Paramtesh. And if you want, you can stay in this session and we can be all part of it. Thank you again, Mary and Richard. You're incredible. Thank you. So we are starting
India.
now.
He started traveling and teaching in 2007. Since then, he has widely reached out to over 40 countries, spreading over Asia, South America, Europe, and Africa. Swamiji has also taken part in conferences across the world, even addressing parliamentarians in countries like the Dominican Republic and Colombia. Swamiji shares Sri Sri's vision of a one-world family where everybody lives together in peace and harmony. Swamiji believes that spiritual practices provide the courage required to handle challenges. He says one is here to contribute. He notes that contribution is what makes life worthwhile, and so he finds his own life most fulfilling. Thank you very much, Swamiji. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Ranjan. Well, so as we normally say that meditation is the means to achieve whatever we want to achieve, and it's also a goal. Means because to achieve anything, you need energy, you need clarity, and that's what meditation gives you. And also is a goal because end of the day, what you want is peace, joy, and happiness. And that's what meditation directly gives you. So let's straight away go into meditation. We can do some breathing, or maybe we can do some shaking. Probably you must be sitting for some time, so we can just do some shaking, shake out all the unwanted thoughts, all the unwanted things away. Shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. Shake, 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 shake. Like spread your hands. Try to hold the sky, and then you hug yourself. The most beautiful person. Again, stretch your arms, opening to the infinity, and then what you found is yourself. Once again, let's stretch our arms for the infinity, and what we find is ourselves, the most beautiful person. Okay, that's nice. Now let's take your shoulders up, 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 up towards the ears. Lengthen your spine up, 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 and relax. Again, once again, up, up, up with a gentle smile, up, 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 and relax. Okay, let's do gently some neck rolls. Breathe out into your chest, breathe in, come up from the right, and breathe out, come down from the left. Breathe in, and breathe out. Once again, breathe in, and breathe out. Opposites, breathe in, and exhale. Breathe in up with a smile. Breathe out, come down. One last time, breathe in. And breathe out. And relax. So now let's do some alternate nostril breathing using the active hand. Thumb on the right nostril, index and the middle finger in the middle of the eyebrows, ring and the little finger on the left nostril. This is the position. So first you close the right and breathe in from the left. Close the left, breathe out from the right. Then breathe in from the right. Close the right, breathe out from the left. This is one round. Let's do five more rounds. With eyes closed, all your attention on the breath with a smile. Breathing in from one nostril as slow and deep as we can. And slowly breathing out from the other nostrils as slowly as we can. The gentle smile. All your attention is on the breath. One last round. Complete the round you're on. And relax your hands, keeping your eyes closed. Keeping the gentle smile on the face. Keep your spine erect and body loose. Now observe the calmness in the mind. Now for a few minutes, we don't want to do anything. Don't want to see anything. Don't want to hear anything. Don't want to touch, taste, or smell anything. Just want to relax and be with the self. Let's take a deep breath in and slowly breathe out. Incoming breath energizes the body, and outgoing breath relaxes the body. Breathe in And as you breathe out, relax more and more. Become aware of your surroundings and all the noises in the surroundings. Noises of birds, some traffic noise, music, or anybody moving around you. Accept all those noises. Feel one with them. Breathe in and slowly breathe out. Become aware of your body. This body is a precious gift by divine, by nature. Let's take good care of it. Bring your attention to your feet. Without moving, relax your feet. Knees. Thighs and hips. Genitals. Abdomen. Stomach. Chest. Hands. Shoulders. Relax your shoulders. Throat. Face. Relax your eyes. Your cheeks. Lips. The entire face. Top of the head. And relax your whole body. Your whole body. Your whole body. Breathe in and slowly breathe out. Become aware of your thoughts. Good thoughts or bad thoughts. Do not resist any thoughts. Let them come. Thoughts are like clouds. They come and they go. Let them go. Become aware of your feelings. Pleasant feelings or unpleasant feelings. Do not resist any feelings. Accept your feelings. Become one with your feelings. You are peace. You are love. Become aware of the feelings, if there are any. Become aware of the thoughts, if there are any. Become aware of your body. Become aware of your surroundings. Take a deep breath in. And slowly breathe out. Take another deep breath in. And slowly breathe out. And taking your own time, whenever you feel complete, with a smile on your face, you may open your eyes. Just take your time. If you want, you can just gently move your neck left and right. Move your shoulders also. Great. Feeling good? Yeah, so nice. So again, congratulate you for joining the Yoga Festival for Mental Health. So let's spread this peace and joy all around. To all the organizers, thank you very much for joining.
Thank you very much, Swamiji. Next session continues at 7 o'clock with mantras, kirtan, dance. So see you at 7 o'clock, and we continue till 10 at night. Stay with us. Stay blessed. Namaste.